Welcome to King's Realm. We talking Falcons and Hawks. The Hawks are currently losing right now, 96-93. And if let me plug Jansen in. Tell them where they can find you at, Jansen.
You can find me, Media Jansen, Just Good Network, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Again, I'm happy I'm on. The King, you're doing your thing. I'm proud of you, man. You're making content. Happy to be on. I respect you. He's a class act. Thank you for bringing me on, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for all the love. Hey, yo, I'm going to tell y'all one thing. If John Collins missed another dunk, we're going to have a serious problem. Hey, yo, Ace, hit the beat, dog. Welcome to King's Round. The King is here, and I got something to say. The Hawks are currently losing at this current moment. So instead of jumping straight into the post game, we're going to talk a little Falcons with my guy here, Jansen. So how do you feel about the Falcons and their offseason moves that are coming up, head coaching and GM particularly?
Well, my take on the Falcons is this. I know there's guys like me and you to a certain extent and other guys that are saying, well, Matt Ryan should be held accountable for this, that, and the third. You know what? Forget my opinion for a second. Let's look at Arthur Blank. Let's look at his language and Rich McKay, okay? If they really felt like they could win a Super Bowl right now in 2021, this upcoming season, with Matt Ryan as the quarterback, or even past that, Matt Ryan might be the starting quarterback next year. I'm not going to doubt that. He's a good quarterback. But if they felt like they could legit win a Super Bowl with him as a quarterback, they would have doubled down on him. That's just my take. I know guys don't agree with that on Twitter, and they say, okay, well, they're focused on the Dirk Cutter thing. And I get it. Dirk Cutter's not a great play caller. I've never claimed him. I never said, oh, Dirk Cutter's great. I don't think anybody who's on the opposite side has said that. I don't think you said that, the King, to be honest with you. I don't think you came out and said Dirk Cutter was a great coordinator. But here's my issue. You see, look at the 49ers, right? You got Jimmy Garoppolo, and I don't think he's better than Matt Ryan at all. I think Matt Ryan outplays him any day of the week. They doubled down and said, look, he's our guy. Why couldn't they come out and say Matt Ryan's our guy and Julio Jones lead us to a Super Bowl? Why couldn't they say that? Is that such a hot take? It's not. It's not a hot take because these are pretty good players still, right? So yeah, why couldn't ownership and the president come out and defend them? That's what. And here's where I'm a little bit offended by it. You're coming at me and other guys saying, "Oh, well, you don't respect Matt Ryan." Rich McKay, you're in the same locker room as him. Why aren't you showing him respect? Arthur Blank, you could back him up. If they back him up, then come to me or guys like you or other guys and say, you know what? All this Matt Ryan hate is nonsense. The organization backed him up. But you know what they said? They left the door open. You know what happens when you leave the door open? That means the new GM, the new head coach could come in and do what the heck they want to do. That shows a lack of confidence to me because they could have doubled down on Matt Ryan. And if I'm Matt Ryan himself, to be real, I feel a little disrespected. And I respect Matt Ryan on a personal level as, you know what? Even though the organization didn't double down on him and they left him kind of like a lame duck, he still went out and handled his business. So on that level, Matt Ryan, I respect him for that. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like he had a great season like some of these Matt Ryan guys out here who are the more concerned about passing yards than they are about wins. But Matt Ryan, I do respect him for going out there being a professional despite Arthur Blank and Rich McKay not co-signing him. So that's my take on that.
So I am going to disagree with you a little bit here. I think the reason that Arthur Blank and Rich McKay didn't say, all right, let me put a stamp on Matt Ryan and we're going to say he's going to be here, Because when you're looking for a new GM and head coach, you don't want them coming in with their arms tied behind their back saying, oh, we're going to keep Matt Ryan, we're going to keep Julio Jones. You don't want that situation, because then once you look at that situation, you're limited on GMs and head coaches you can actually get, because now they're going to come in and say, well, if I want to move on from them, I can't. So I'm not even going to sit down and talk to you. Let's give EB an example. If he comes in and he says, all right, I want to draft Justin Fields, and I can give you a game plan to make sure that we win a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 4 years, or we're a playoff contender each year, but I have to get rid of Matt Ryan. If that's his plan, and then Arthur Blank says on a post game or in an interview that we're not getting rid of Matt Ryan no matter what, then he's not even coming to the interview. So when you look at it from that point, I don't think he's not doubling down, as you like to say, on Matt Ryan. I just think he's leaving the door open so that a GM or a head coach can come in and say, all right, we can be fresh with this. We can do what we want. And it's not like we have to keep Matt Ryan. So that's how I feel. And that's what I think the GM and Rich McKay are doing. They're leaving the door open so they can get the best candidate out there. If it has to go with us.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Do you think Rich McKay should have a job right now? I'm just wondering.
Only because he is a Super Bowl winner. I have no ill will against Rich McKay. Okay. I don't think he's a bad president. He's just a guy that's out there, and I wouldn't say he's a bad guy. He's a really good president for this organization. But do I think there's a better guy out there? Maybe, could be, possibly. But his connection with Arthur Blank, his connection with the the NFL commissioner, he has great ties, and he has a Super Bowl. So anybody with a Super Bowl, I would gladly have on this Atlanta Falcons staff, even though he doesn't pick the plays or pick the players or do all the other stuff. That's important because he knows a winning organization, and that's what is the most important part. So chat, let me know how y'all feel about the post game, the interview today with Rich McKay and Arthur Blank. But Jansen, I'm gonna ask you another question. How do you feel about? I saw your tweet today about the quarterback from Oklahoma. How do you feel about him? I forgot his name that quickly.
Oh, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields. There you go. Thank you.
Justin Fields. Yeah, I think Justin Fields, and he proved me wrong a little bit. I wasn't a big supporter of his, but I seen that last game he had against Clemson. He was clutch. He made a lot of tight window throws. I know some guys want to label him as maybe the next Cam Newton or the bust coming out of the draft. I'm not saying he'll be great. I'm saying from what I've seen, I think he has an argument to be just as good as some of the other guys. And I see the comments below the Falcons defensive line they're talking about, and I understand. I know that wasn't your question, but I understand that Falcons defensive line is messed up. But look, they just paid a lot of money to Fowler. They have Grady Jarrett there. And my whole theory is a new GM, a new head coach means a new quarterback a lot of times. And I know people in Atlanta don't want to hear that. We want to blame Dirk Cutter for everything, and Dirk Cutter should be fired. I don't know why he hasn't got fired. I don't know why people act like I haven't said that a million times. But back to your question, Justin Fields, I think if he's at number 4, he's the right pick for the Falcons. And my number 1 guy for the head coach would be Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith would be a great head coach. I know they're looking at Brian Dable as well. I know they're looking at Eric Bieniemy. And like I said in that video, I think if they bring in any of these offensive minds, even if they bring in Robert Salah, they bring him in, I think that they look at a quarterback only because guys want to get fired by their own quarterback. We even seen recently, we saw with Arizona, we seen them bring in a new head coach, and they literally brought in a new quarterback to replace Josh Rosen. He really didn't even get an opportunity, if you want to be real. So that's just where the league is. If you ask me, I don't like it, man. Personally, I don't like how important the quarterback position is. But unfortunately, you show me your quarterback, I'll show you your record for the most part. You feel me? For the most part. Not all the time. But if you look at the great teams in this league, they have great quarterback play. Great quarterback play will make up for decent coaching. Trust me on that. You feel me? And I know people in Atlanta do not want to hear that. Trust me when I say this. I'm not looking at it from a closed-minded point of view. When people say Dirk Cutter's not that guy, I hear it. Even if I disagree with the take of Dirk Cutter should be blamed for everything, I just look at it like this. When you have a superstar quarterback, when you have a franchise quarterback that makes up for bad coaching, decent offensive line play, scatty defensive play, because I'm not going to crap on the Falcons defense. You saw how they played the Chiefs. You saw how they played the Saints. Come on, man. Some of these people in Atlanta, yes, if you look at the rankings, the Falcons look bad, but that was a hell of a game by the defense against the Chiefs. Hell of a game. I'm going to defend them on that one because the Chiefs have one of the most dynamic offenses in the league, and people look at the Falcons defense are going to crap on them. Oh, they're bad. Yeah, they were bad in week 17, but I don't think they were bad all 17 weeks. We can't just use them as a scapegoat when it comes to that. You want to talk about Fowler underachieving? I've been said that. Fowler has underachieved. He needs to get better. I think he could in year 2. I don't know if it's true, though. Hopefully, I'm being optimistic with that. But at the end of the day, I think Justin Fields is the answer for the Falcons to answer your question.
All right. So before I talk about Justin Fields, I'm going to go into this chat. The Falcons' defensive line needs to get fixed badly, and they need good run game. Hopefully, they will get the right head coach and GM for this team. Yo, Knight, I agree with you. This defensive line does not get pressure. They don't get sacks. We just talked about Dante Fowler and him underachieving. So I agree. We don't have a run game. I've stated that many times. No running back in the backfield of the Atlanta Falcons is scary. None of them. When they walk up, when they come through the huddle and they break the huddle, ain't nobody saying, look out for Brian Hill. Look out for Todd Gurley. Look out for Ito Smith. Nobody is saying that. So I would agree with you. We need a run game and we need defense because you know what? Those are two things that close out games and win games. So until we get those, we're not going to be able to close out games and we're not going to be winning a lot of games. As you see, the last few years. Yesterday, Brian Hill's 65-yard run was the longest since Tevin Coleman was here. Tevin Coleman. All right. So let's go on to the next comment. Great show, guys. Very professional topic. Fans wants to hear and interact with. Thank you, Tavares. Thank you. Keep watching. Matt Ryan is not clutch. Let's go for another QB ASAP. All right, Tavares. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I don't think it's the fact that Matt Ryan is not clutch. Because if you look at, let me point out one game. The game where Todd Gurley scored when he shouldn't have scored. That was a Matt Ryan game-winning drive right there. So I don't think Matt Ryan is not clutch. I just think he's being – once the defense steps on the field, you might as well kiss the baby because the game's over. This defense does play good, like Jansen said, i.e. the Raiders game. We put up 40 points, but most of that was because of great defense. So we know this defense has potential. We know this Falcons defense has potential. But can they unlock their full potential for 16 weeks? That's what we need. 16 weeks of good defense. Good defense, good running game. You're right. Defense did play well against the Chiefs. We don't blitz enough and need bigger D-line players. Exactly. Most of our secondary. I don't disagree
with that at all.
At all. Most of our secondary, most of our linebackers, and most of our defensive linemen are all speed and undersized. Most of them. Speed and undersized. Look at Deion Jones. Speed, undersized, not really good in the run game. So a lot of our players are speed and undersized. But to get back into Justin Fields, I'm not a Justin Fields fan. It's not that I think he sucks. I don't think he's good. I don't think his game, one, because he went to Oklahoma. Oklahoma or the Ohio State? I think it's the Oklahoma. Sorry about y'all. I'm having brain farts tonight.
Ohio State.
Yeah, the Ohio State.
Good, Ohio State.
Yeah. So he went to the Ohio State, and what good quarterbacks have came from there? We just saw one lose his job who played for Washington. He came from Washington. I mean, he went to Washington and lost his job. Now he don't have a job. Update: Hawks are losing by 3 now. Sorry, y'all. Hawks are losing by 3. 104-101. So when you look at that, that's what it comes down to. Fields. I don't think he'll be NFL ready. I don't think he's a number one. I think he's more like a second round, third round guy that needs to develop, needs to learn some things. Don't get caught up in the hype of one game, people. Don't do it. Remember AJ Terrell, the guy we drafted? He got torched. And we were talking about that one game. Look at him now. Might be best rookie cornerback in the game. So don't get caught up on the hype of one game, people. Look at his mechanics. Look at how he throws the ball. Look and see if he can read the defense. So make sure. I feel like you got something to say, Jansen. Go ahead.
Hey, man, respectfully, bro, because you make some points, and I get it. I'm not sitting here going to say that Justin Fields automatically is an upgrade for Matt Ryan or automatically a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't want to say it about any quarterback because it's so hit and miss. It with any position, though. Guys say, and I see it on Twitter a lot, guys get a lot of retweets off this. Oh, just because you draft a quarterback doesn't mean he'll be great. Yes, that's true. But just because you go for a defensive end, which the Falcons have done in the past in the first round, doesn't mean they'll be great. Just because you go for a cornerback, that doesn't mean they'll be great, even though I am high on this cornerback draft. Here's the thing about Justin Fields that I like about him is when I watched him play, even outside of the huge game he had against Clemson, he throws the ball in tight windows. Some people want to compare him to Cam Newton and say, okay, well, the mechanics kind of like you brought up. I think he could throw in tight windows. Do I think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback? I don't know. I have to see how it is. I'm not even going to sit here and say he's the type of guy who could put up better numbers than Matt Ryan. All I'm saying is sometimes, and I don't know if this just sounds stupid, but this is what I believe. I believe with a new era, new quarterback, maybe the stats won't be the same, and maybe he won't be as good on paper if you just look at the box score. So I use the box score king thing. You sometimes could be a better quarterback or in a better situation with a new coach, a new culture. I think sometimes when I look at Matt Ryan and he's a good quarterback, and some people are going to get offended by this, but I think too much brotherhood. I think the whole Super Bowl let down, I just feel like he's part of that culture, and that's a little bit something past the numbers. Am I sitting here saying Matt Ryan can't go to San Francisco and be a high-level player still and a good player in this league? No. I just don't see the Falcons winning at all with him as the quarterback. I think they should move on. I think the head coach and the general manager are going to feel so much pressure to reiterate to draft a quarterback. I think this is just bigger than my opinion on this or some other people's. I know Matt Ryan has a lot of haters. I ain't the only one probably saying this. I know haters on Twitter, and he has a lot of defenders. I just think the general manager, I'm convinced the general manager and the head coach are going to want to bring their own quarterback. I don't know if it's Zach Wilson. I don't know who it's going to be. I hear Trey Lance. I don't know if it's Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is better than both of them. I don't think he's as good as Trevor Lawrence, but I think he's a guy who could be good in this league. I don't want to say great. It's so hard to pinpoint on these young guys because you have to see what's around them. You have to see what coach they have. And I don't believe that the coach is everything, but I just have to see what he has around him. And I think in Atlanta, he could succeed. I think Justin Fields is that guy. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a Hall of Famer. I got to see him play. In the league, NFL is different. But from what I see, he could throw in tight windows.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off what you said, if we draft Justin Fields, let's just say we draft him, this O-line is the same. This defense is the same. So when you look at it from that aspect, and like you said, the team around you makes you better. When you look at it from that aspect, we'll get the same results. We might have another 4-win season with great stats from a quarterback. So, and when you say it like that, do you really want that as a Falcons fan? Do you want another 4-win season or 7-9-win season and we're not making the playoffs and the quarterback has played well? Mind you, that's what got us here with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been great, but a lot of times he's getting not the respect he deserves because he doesn't, the team doesn't win ball games. And when the team is not winning ball games, nobody cares about your quarterback play. Nobody does. On the outside looking in, people. I'm not talking about us as Falcons fans.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not talking about us as Falcons fans who watch Matt Ryan, who knows his grind, who knows how good he is. From the outside looking in, if you take any 4-win team, they're going to say that quarterback is probably not good, just on the outside looking in, because they're not winning games. You got to win games in this league to be considered among the greats. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Matt Ryan is
True.
great. I'm one of the biggest Matt Ryan fans that I know, of course, but you can ask anybody that knows me. I am a Matt Ryan fan. So for me to say that this season he's been bad, I should be able to say that, and we all should be able to say that. It's okay. Matt Ryan hasn't been good this year. Does that mean that we need to draft a quarterback? No. But in some people's eyes, like Jansen said, when they bring in another GM, they're going to look at Matt Ryan and say, I want a new quarterback. So what if that quarterback takes us to the Super Bowl? Are you still going to hate? Are you still going to hate that quarterback? So that's how I feel
Okay,
about
can I
the.
throw something in real quick?
Oh yeah, throw something in. Go ahead.
Remember, even look at the 2019 draft, I believe. You had Chris Lindstrom they brought in. You had Caleb McGarry. They brought in reinforcements.
Yep.
And I like Thomas Dimitroff. I don't think he's a bad general manager. Should he have got fired? I don't think so, but it is what it is. And maybe he wasn't a great GM. I'm okay with that take. I liked him personally. I didn't like Dan Quinn. And since I guess he was the guy who brought in Dan Quinn, he's attached to him, so he got fired. But it's not like people haven't been surrounding Matt Ryan with players. It's not like they haven't committed to other drafts and bringing in players to support Matt Ryan. You feel me? This Matt Ryan isn't a 5-year vet. He's been in the league a long time. And credit to him, he's been able to last. He's got big contracts. He's made big money. He deserves it. You feel me? For all the yards he's put up. I give him that. But at the same time, when people make takes and say, well, they haven't put enough around Matt Ryan, there's a lot of quarterbacks in this league who don't have the receivers he has. Okay? Maybe he doesn't have a top 5 defense. I'm not going to claim he does. He doesn't. But this defense has been productive at times with some of the injuries they've had. I thought they've done a hell of a job coaching-wise on that defense. Even last year, the second half of the season, they did a pretty good job. And I'm not a guy who supports Raheem Morris' comeback because I'm not a Raheem Morris fan. I don't like his style. I didn't like how we called out Dante Fowler Jr., even though I agreed with him. I thought he was speaking facts. I just think it was unprofessional. He could talk to him on the low. I just don't like that type of style. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Where you go into the
Yeah.
media with things and stuff like that. All that chatter. I don't think it helps. You feel me? I don't think it helps. Even though Dante Fowler Jr. has underachieved, it doesn't help. But at the same time, I just think there's always a scapegoat. There's always a scapegoat. And at the end of the day, do I think Matt Ryan should be the starter for the Falcons next season? Probably so. Probably so. But if, again, and Matthew Stafford's in the same situation, new GM, new head coach, people think different. It don't even matter what I got to say. I don't have to say this stuff. You don't have to say what you got to say. People outside of Atlanta in general, I hate to say it because Falcon fans don't want to hear this. And I'm here in Atlanta with y'all. I'm covering local high school sports with y'all a lot of times. Not in COVID, but with y'all. I'm with y'all with certain things. But people do not view Matt Ryan the end-all, be-all. I'm sorry. You feel me? So you just think how these other guys might come into Atlanta and want to change everything. That's what some of these guys aren't getting. You feel me? Some of these writers, and yeah, I'm going to call some of these guys out because, you know, I've and maybe you've seen, bro, I've had open discussions with guys, with other writers and stuff, and we're supposed to be debating, sparring at it like it's a freaking boxing match or something. But some of these guys, they've always been Falcon fans, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think when you have an outsider, a little bit of an outsider like me, you know what? Naturally, no matter how you feel about what I got to say, it's a little bit more subjective. You feel me? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a Jets fan, okay? I don't know why I say it so proudly. We're terrible. Terrible. We're worse than the Falcons organization. But I can be real with myself. So when I look at the Falcons, I'm a little bit more subjective than a guy who literally, when he was a kid, Matt Ryan got drafted. So he's been a Matt Ryan fan. So it's a little bit different in my opinion. So when I don't even think some of these guys believe what they're saying. I just think they're clout chasing. which it is what it is. They're writing, some of these guys write articles, and I could say that with confidence. Some of these guys are writing articles so they can get the retweets, but they're not being real. Because when a new head coach and GM comes in and they draft a new quarterback, oh, they're going to act surprised.
Yeah.
You can't just use Dirk Cutter as your scapegoat. He's not the $30 million guy. That's just what's real, man. I don't see why some of these guys just don't get that or even want to acknowledge it. Or they say the same thing I said, but they sugarcoat it a little bit more. They sugarcoat it a little bit more. Great, blah, blah. He's a Hall of Famer. He's this. Then they say what they want to hear. Oh, they're going to draft the quarterback in the first round. So they're basically saying the same thing I'm saying, but they're not being as direct. They just don't like how I'm saying it. You feel me? Or maybe how you're saying it. I don't know if you got haters. You probably do. But
everybody got
that's
haters.
what it is, man. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback.
Yeah. So looks like the Hawks lost. So we're gonna jump into that after I say this. I'm gonna say this and we're gonna switch over to the Hawks. Do y'all remember when people were saying Carson Wentz was better than Matt Ryan? Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that? Look at Carson Wentz somewhere on the bench. That's because on the outside looking in, people don't care unless you're winning games. That's the only time they care, man. It has nothing to do, no disrespect to Matt Ryan. I love Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's my guy. Ask my bros. I defend Matt Ryan to the T. But when we talking facts and we're talking winning football, Matt Ryan doesn't do that. Does that mean, like I said earlier, get rid of Matt Ryan? No. There's other problems with this team. The offense sputters at time. Play calling, defense sucks, doesn't get pressure on quarterback. Is he the only problem? No. If we get another quarterback, does that change any of that? No. But same thing goes for every other quarterback that's not winning. If you're not winning, you're not doing your job. That's what it boils down to. And it has nothing to do with Matt Ryan hate. But let's jump into this Hawks game that they lost, unfortunately, 113 to 108. Watching this game, I can tell you why they lost. I'm be honest. Points in the paint. Points in the paint. That's why they lost this game. And it was points in the paint early. So when you go look at the box score and it says 54-50, don't be misconstrued with that, because it was honestly at one point they had like 20-some points in the paint and we only had 2. So when you look at stuff like that, it tells you can't. Why is Julius Randle? Let me get it correct. Why is Julius Randle dropping 28? Somebody answer.
My guy.
Why is Julius Randle dropping 28? Julius Randle was killing us in the paint. Why? Why is Julius? This goes back to my stint with John Collins. This is why. I don't think he deserved to get paid. Yes, he balled today. John Collins balled. He had 18 and 8. Well, he's not balled, but he played pretty well. But why is Julius Randle showing out in the post? Somebody answer that. Let me know, chat. Why is Julius Randle showing out in the post? Why is he bringing the ball up like a point guard and driving straight to the lane, doing that spin, going up with the left? He did it like 5 times and nobody was stopping it. Nobody was stopping it. Also, when you look at this box score, 31 points from Trey, 1 for 6 from 3 people. Y'all thought I was playing when I was talking about this earlier. If y'all watched the show, y'all should know. 1 for 6 from the 3. That's not good, man. We need him up there in the 50% range. I don't want to see anything under 39%, honestly. When you're the point guard and you're supposed to be the best scorer on this team, I need more points. We should not lose to the Knicks. We should not lose to the Knicks. RJ, 26 points. Who's guarding that man? Who's guarding RJ? 26.
I'm surprised about that.
26 and 11. Who's guarding RJ? Who's guarding that man? Quickly. Somebody tell me who Quickly is. If you can tell me his first name, I'll send you $10 right now. Who is Quickly and what's his first name and why does he have 16 points? Their bench, the most points on their bench is 8. The next is 7. Everybody else 0. Which means Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and a guy named Quickly beat us today. How do you feel about the Hawks, man?
I thought quickly he played a good game. Julius Randle, he's building off of what I've seen last season, and when he was with the Pelicans, he had a hell of a game. He was a bully down low. I will agree with you with that take on John Collins. He needs to be stronger down low. And I think some of his efficiencies on defense is really kind of contributing to the mindset of the Hawks not wanting to give him that max contract. I think that's like the little elephant in the room. If it is an elephant in the room, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But RJ Barrett, they can't let RJ what he does because against a lot of teams, and again, I'm a Knicks fan. So RJ misses, he doesn't shoot the ball that efficiently. Tonight, he had a pretty good game. So the Knicks were, in a surprising fashion, they were bullies in the paint. You're right. They dominated in the paint. They had more assists. They had more total rebounds. They were the more physical team. I don't necessarily think the Hawks were terrible on defense, but I thought their bigs could have played a lot better. Clint Capella, I expect you to show up a little bit more on the defensive end because that's where you specialize at. So I think at the end of the day, I'm happy where the Hawks are at overall through 7 games, 4-3, set the record. But I think it's okay where we're at. I think Lord Pierce overall is doing a pretty good job this season, and I've been very critical of him in the past. But this season so far, he's doing pretty good. I just think the Knicks got the best of them. When you get outscored 29-20 in the fourth quarter, they just didn't close today. And like you said about Trae Young, he has to shoot the ball more effectively from the three-point line. And people don't want to hear that. Trae Young will always score a lot of points. Trae Young is a pretty good player. I used to be one of those guys who looked young and said, you know what? I'm comparing you to Luka. I stopped doing that because that wasn't fair. You feel me? That wasn't fair. That wasn't the right thing to do. His career is his career. Just because he got traded doesn't mean I need to compare him to Luka. So I stopped doing. But at the end of the day, now it's people look at the box score and say, okay, well, 29 points or well, 30 points, but they're not talking about the turnovers. And it's not even hate, but sometimes there's turnovers or there's he's shooting the ball so much it's taken away from other players, and I think that's the problem sometimes. People talk about DeAndre Hunter; they need him to get more involved, or Cam Reddish. Sometimes they could get off when he's playing more Trae Young, the distributor role. I think sometimes Trae Young shoots the ball a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, overall, I'm happy with him. He's playing at a high level for the most part, outside of that 3-point percentage like you talked about today. Yep. And I think the Hawks team is going in a good direction. Today, it just wasn't their day.
You spoke about turnovers. He had 8 people. 8. He did have 14 assists, but when you have 8 turnovers, that's not good. He had 8 turnovers, people. He had more turnovers than he had 3-point attempts. He only made 9 field goals. 9. He had 8 turnovers. I'm not ragging on Trae Young, man. I love Trae Young. Trae Young's my guy. I've been a Trae Young fan. But when you're going to the line 15 times, well, not 15, but you're shooting 15 free throws and you're only making 9 shots, that's not good, man. That's not winning basketball. 1-3. When you're having numbers like this, you understand why they lose to the Knicks. Let's go to this chat. We were watching the Hawks and the Falcons out there. I would agree because what? They blew a lead. They were up by at least 15 at one point. Once again, up. They were up. They came out halftime hot. You were thinking, all right, this is about to be a blowout. What happened? Turnovers, fouls, offensive fouls. These things, a little bit is Lloyd Pierce, but I can't give him credit because when the Knicks were up early, he called a timeout. The Hawks went on a run, a 10-2 run at that. Got them back in the game. It happened again in the second quarter. He called a timeout. They went on another 10-2 run. So I don't think it's Lloyd Pierce. Lloyd Pierce is doing his job. But when it comes to late game, we had this in when we played the Cavs, late game situations. We got to capitalize. When we're up, we got to keep our foot on their throat, people. Don't Hawks have key injuries? If it ain't Trae Young, John Collins, Clint Capella, Cam Reddish, who else? Cam, Kevin Huerter, even them. if all 6 of those players are playing, Bogey was playing. Only key injury we got is Gallinari. That's the only one. Rondo being out is not a key. He's not a key. He's coming off the bench getting points, understand, but he's not a key injury guy. Kevin Huerter on defense was a liability tonight, especially in the fourth. Absolutely right. Not ragging on Kevin Huerter defense, but there was a lineup Lloyd Pierce put in the game against the Cavs, and it was horrible. Nobody could play defense except for like 1 or 2 players. Knicks best team on the planet. Saw it here. Yeah, all right. Next question. World beaters Austin Rivers versus LeBron. What is OMT? I love you, brother. I love you, brother. Hawks should have won by 30. You are absolutely right. Hawks should have won by 30 in this game. Like I said, at one point they was up 15. They were up 15, man. And when you look at stuff like that, being up 15 and losing 2 games back to back to teams that you really shouldn't lose to, let's be honest. Should the Hawks lose to the Cavs? Not really. Not when the only person really scoring is Colin Sexton, especially when you just beat KD and Kyrie the night before. Understand you got tired legs. I don't care. You get paid to play basketball. Especially y'all. Y'all legs should be fresh. Y'all ain't played since March. Y'all legs should be fresh. Fresh. So this is another game I told y'all yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, Sunday. The Hawks, this game is going to be defense. And as you see, 8 turnovers by Trey, and the Hawks scored 108. I said they would keep them under 100. I was 8 points off. Well, 9 technically. 9 points off. So, like I say, the Hawks, they have the potential. This team can be great. But this is why I still think they're a 7 or 8 seed. Situations like this, teams like this, late game situations, they're young. I understand they got to gel together. They will get there, I guarantee you. But it might be late in the season where they're fighting for a playoff spot. It might be late in the season where they need to win the last 3 or 4 games to get in. There ain't nothing wrong with that. If the Hawks get into the playoffs, that's a win for this season, people. If the Hawks get in, that is a win. Now, if they miss the playoffs, a lot of people are going to be mad. The acquisitions, then we're going to be looking at Lloyd Pierce a lot. But how do you feel about the Hawks in the playoffs, Jensen?
I think the Hawks will make the playoffs. I know they lost tonight, and some people are very disappointed. I get it, especially for season ticket holders and stuff like that. You go into the games. I think the Hawks are in good position. Lloyd Pierce, and again, I've told you, I'm just keeping it transparent. I've been critical of him. I like what I'm seeing so far. I think the Hawks put in a lot of effort. I think the Hawks right now, they're on pace for a 6 seed, 7 seed, 8 seed. And I love it. I think that might even be worthy of an extension for Lloyd Pierce. And maybe people aren't calling for that, but I think he's doing a hell of a job so far. I think he deserves credit. He's one of those coaches who I know people are on under the microscope looking like, you know what, he's a guy who needs to get fired if the Hawks don't get further. I love all the moves Travis Slank made, and it's paying off. 4-3, I'll take that. That's not a bad record. I'll take that in the East. I'll take it. It's still a young season, 70-plus games. Holla at me when they're 50 games through, and we'll see where the Hawks are there. If the Hawks are 10 games over 500, I'll take that. If they're 15 games over 500, which is a possibility, I'll take that. So I think the Hawks are on a good pace right now. 4-3, I'll take it. I know the Knicks traditionally aren't a good team. They usually suck. They look okay so far this year. They're 4-3. I don't think we need to take this game. I'm not going to say take it seriously, but I don't think we need to take this game and be like, okay, well, the Hawks are in trouble. 4-3. Trey needs to shoot a little bit better, like you said. Turn the ball over less. They need to play hard on defense. They keep playing hard on defense. This team's going to be in the playoffs, period. They have the offensive talent. They play hard on defense. They get some steals. They get some turnovers. They don't turn the ball over. They'll be in the playoffs.
Bogey. Isn't that the guy that we were saying that, oh, we get Bogey, we're a playoff team. 3 shots. Why is Bogey only taking 3 shots? We need to get him more shots.
Oh, no.
Clint Capella got 7 shots. Kevin Huerter, 12 shots. John Collins, 15. Cam Reddish, 11. Bogey is the second best shooter on this team. Why is he only taking 3 shots? DeAndre Hunter, I got to give you my shout outs, man, because if y'all watch the channel, I've been ragging DeAndre Hunter. I wouldn't say ragging him, but I'm a Cam Reddish fan because I am a Duke fan. So Cam Reddish is my guy, but DeAndre Hunter, 23. The night before that, I think he had 17. The game before that, I think he had another 23. DeAndre Hunter is balling. He is balling. He is second high after Trae Young with 31. And he actually shot better than Trae Young from 3, 50%, 3 for 6. His field goal percentage, 9 of 15, 60%. So, and he got less free throws. Just imagine if he shot as many free throws as Trae Young. He would probably have a 40 burger right now. So, not ragging on the Hawks, man. The Hawks got to play better, man. The Hawks got to play better. I'll see y'all on Wednesday when we play the Charlotte Hornets, who are currently losing to the Philly 76ers. Haha. Philadelphia 76ers, 116 and 110. Jansen, any shout outs before we get out of here?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you, bro. Handling things professionally. I love what you're doing. You sound great, man. Keep it up, brother. I love what you're doing. The Don. He was in the chat last time I was on the show. Shout out to him. He's doing a lot of great work. Shout out to Eric Robinson, even though we've been going back and forth and stuff like that. Maybe it's a little bit heated. I look forward to debating with him. And everybody who's making content in Atlanta, keep doing your thing. Whether, hopefully, you're not doing that out of hate, but if you are, it is what it is. You're making content. So shout out to everybody listening as well, too. All the supporters out there who's supporting this show, supporting me. Thank you. And, brother, keep doing your thing. I love what you're doing. And I'm grateful that you had me on. We had the discussion today. We did our thing. I just want to thank you personally.
Thank you, Jansen, for all the love, man. You welcome anytime. So y'all know what to do. It's the end of the show. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. If you made it to the end of the show, like and subscribe. Thank you to Tavares for coming in the chat. B Baller coming in the chat. OMT coming in the chat. Shout out to all y'all. Knight coming in the chat early. Shout out to all y'all. Keep watching. We do this all the time, all day. This is what we do. We talk sports. We have debates, and we always have a special guest take us out. Peace.